In today's video, we're going to talk about boredom. Boredom is a feeling that you get when you are bored, which you might feel when you are doing something that you're not interested in, when something is repetitive or monotonous, and because your brain is not being stimulated enough. The first question is, when do you get bored? I think I get bored the most when I have to wait for a long time. For example, when I'm at the doctor's or I'm at an airport. When you're in one of these big buildings, there is often no signal, so you don't have any data. So you can't use your mobile phone to go online and entertain yourself for that period of time. I was quite interested in learning about what other things make people bored. And I found out that school or college is on the top of that list, which is to be expected. Interestingly, the second and third reasons on that list were the ones that I had just chosen: medical facilities and airports. A bit further down the list, we have being at work, being in a bank, and being in a shop or a store. I suppose that it depends on the type of shop. I find some of them really interesting and I think I could spend hours in there, but it is true that there are some shops that I find really boring, especially hardware stores. And then a little further down the list, we have being at a shopping centre, driving or spending time in a car, and interestingly, being at a hotel. I suppose that is because there are some people who travel for business purposes, because I can't imagine that you would get bored if you're on holiday at a hotel. And then lastly, way down the list, we have being at somebody else's house and being at a restaurant or bar. I know that sometimes you're somewhere and you wish that you were at home, or you just wish you weren't there, so I understand that one. The next question is, how do you stop being bored? I think that there are many things you can do when you're bored, and it's best to be prepared before you go to a place where you know you are going to get bored. For example, if you're going to the doctor's and you know that there isn't going to be any internet for you to use your mobile phone, then maybe you could take a book or take some knitting for you to do in the waiting room while you wait. And if you're at an airport, then maybe you can download some songs before you travel and take some headphones with you to listen to music. There are definitely some situations that you can't really get out of, like if you have to be at college or you have to be at school, or you're at somebody's house when you don't want to be, or at a restaurant when you don't want to be, then there isn't a lot you can do really. For example, if you're at college, you can't just get a book out in the middle of a lecture. Or if you're at somebody else's house, you can't just put your headphones in. So maybe you could doodle if you're in class. Doodle means like do little drawings to keep yourself entertained. Or if you're at somebody's house, maybe you could strike up an interesting conversation with another person that is there. The next question is, what is the most boring book you have ever read? I would say that the most boring piece of literature, instead of a book, piece of literature that I have ever read is Beowulf. Beowulf is an old epic poem which is written in Old English, and it is believed that it was written more than 1,000 years ago, possibly 1,200 years ago. So you can imagine the language that it uses. it's very hard to understand it, and I had to read it in my degree, and you just can't understand anything. You have to look up the words and their meanings and then write them down, and even so, it just becomes so boring, so repetitive, and this is why I think it is the most boring piece of literature that I've ever had to read, and I wouldn't recommend it. It is definitely an important piece of literature, and it is considered the most important one that is written in Old English. The next question is, do you think that sports are boring? No, I think that sports are very fun and entertaining, and I don't think that I've ever felt bored while doing exercise. I like going for a run and playing tennis, and there is no waiting involved. I think that we normally get bored when we have to wait for something. Maybe you could get bored if you play a sport like at a competitive level and you go to competitions and you have to wait for your turn to play. That might become a bit boring if you have to wait for hours. But no, generally I don't think that sports are boring. The next question is, do you think that shopping is boring? Well, I think that it depends what you're shopping for. For example, I really love going furniture shopping and buying accessories for my home, but I don't like going to hardware stores because I'm not interested in it. I go shopping there if I have to buy something specific, but I wouldn't go there just to walk around. I think it's the same with clothes shopping. I wouldn't go to a clothes shop if I'm not looking to buy something. I wouldn't go just for a wander around and go window shopping. I do find it a bit boring when you spend hours and hours looking around all of the shops and you can't find what you're looking for. So that's why I have started to buy things online, because it's very easy to find the product that you want and you don't waste as much time. You do have to wait for the product to arrive, like you can get it sent to the shop and collect it in the shop, or you can get it delivered to your address. But I don't think that that type of waiting is boring. It's more when you're sat around and haven't got anything else to do when it becomes boring. Sometimes you can get bored when you're at home because you don't have any plans or anything to do. So in another video, I'm going to be telling you about different things that you can do at home to keep yourself entertained. But we'll keep that for another video. If you have enjoyed this one, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.